Hello again and welcome back to the channel. We have something new that I wanted to share with us. There's this box that showed up about 3 days ago, and we've been absolutely it's making us crazy wanting to open it up. RPS has dangled in front of us the so to speak, Super Hawk, which is supposed to be a 300cc version. Well, as it turns out, the Super Hawk ended up being a adventure bike, which is a completely different style. We've seen some pictures of it, we've seen some teasers, but here's the box. So it's finally made it. It's called the Cross Country 300. So yeah, we're in southern Alabama, so a little bit of rain here today, lots of sweat, lots of humidity. We've got some tropical storms sitting out, so should deal with that. Anyways, I'm going to cut this open. It is a rather large box. I'm hoping there's not going to be too much assembly required. Are you ready? Looks like it's almost completely built. So front wheel is off. Wow, look at these forks. Those adjusters down below or something. Those are nice looking. Got kind of a nice carbon fiber look. Front fender. This out. All right, well, let's look at the other side. There's the front wheel, which is a 19. Looks like it's got a DOT legal tire on it. All right, well, let's tear the top of this crate off. Pause. All right, so now that we got some of the metal off of it, let's go peel this plastic. Hopefully get a better idea what this bike looks like. I noticed in pulling it off there was a little windscreen. So just a little one. Just to kind of keep the wind off of you a little bit. And looks like the handlebars are all off. Ends are off. And this here. Oh, that's nice looking. I can't really tell if that's LED or not. Gee, this is the strangest looking green I've ever seen, because green is what we ordered. But you know something? I don't hate the gray. Okay. You can tell it's related to the Hawk. The swing arm looks very similar. The gears are similar. It's got the little toolbox underneath here, like the Hawk. It's got the helmet lock. And then an easy access to the ECM port here. And on these, you can actually, with the adapter cable, you can scan these with an OBD1 scanner. Anything will really work. So they really did not make this difficult at all as far as diagnosing these. I'm not quite sure who made the ECM for this. I kind of think it's Bosch, but we'll get into that here later on. So handlebars are tucked off to the side here, and it looks like they put a little bracket on here to for transportation. And we'll get that off. It's important when you put your handlebars on to make sure that nothing's twisted up. It's real easy to do when you have these off, is to have a twist on them where all of your wires don't fit correctly. All right, here we go. So it looks like my wire's twisted this way. Nope. I'm going to have to give it a spin this way. There it is. Now it's all untwisted like this. Looks like your brakes mounted, and then your clutch is sitting separately over here. So let me go ahead and grab the clamps. They're right there. Obviously, this is something that you dial in for your rider, depending on their height. I like to set them right straight up, 0 degrees from the start. And also make sure that the knurled part of the handlebars is sitting under the clamps, so you kind of see it through these slots. So right at 0 there. Don't go crazy with them. I have seen these snap. But you do want to get them tight enough to where they pull down on your handlebars and give you a good clamp. So you certainly don't want these to move when you don't want them to. Wow, this is a bag of parts here. So what we got is, looks like left side bark buster, clutch lever, looks like a USB port, USB charging port, and also looks like these have wires going to them. They have integrated turn signals. Isn't that a neat feature? All right, we've got a control here. Get everything untangled. There we go. So on these, it's always control first, then the lever, and then there should be a hole. Yeah, there's a hole in the bottom of these handlebars that this little peg right here goes in. So not only does it clamp on here, it also keeps it from twisting if it gets knocked over or something. Don't drop my screws. Set it on here, clamshell, and there's the point where it's seated. So nice and tight, not going to move. And it's a quality looking switch assembly. So let's put the lever on, take a look at everything here. So here's our clutch lever. I mean, I guess we could always check the instructions on how to assemble this. Oh wait, there aren't any. Okay, the screws are still on it. Okay, so mystery solved. I bet this slides out. Here we go. Like this. That exposes my clamp. The little metal part goes inside and allows it to clamp tight enough. And this slides in. So I just kind of, I'd say I probably index it like this underneath. Probably looks the best that way. Rather on top, I think that's a little intrusive. Yeah, I'd rather just go underneath with it, get it out of the way, get it snugged up. And this should just slip in like that. There we go. Notice the levers on these. You do have the adjustment on them. So you can adjust the throw on these, depending how big your hands are, what's comfortable for you. Index on both sides. All right, which gets me back to this here. You see, that is a 6mm. So I'm just going to index it like so. Tighten it up. So I guess there's no support on it. Free floating like that. All right, well, let's look at this box here. See what all we have. We have got mirrors, the pad. Okay, I was looking for the second handguard. in the box, but it's right here. Okay, I guess I don't have to connect it that way. Throw this over here. And it's just plain black. There we go. Let's grab this handguard. Should we cut the right wire? You go crazy, start cutting wires on these things. It's real easy to cut the wrong one. Yeah, cut that one, not this one. All right, let's get this handguard slipped in here. And I think, yeah, there it is. All right. So they just have a bolt on the end. Lined up. There it is. All right. And then we've got a bag of hardware, reflectors, and everything else. Vent tube. All right. All right. I guess now it comes with the fun part. We got to get her up base so we get the front wheel and everything else put on it. Now the skid plate here, okay, that is metal. All right, that's nice. First I thought it was plastic, and also got protective covers on the radiator. All right. All right, this is. If I lift up, you want to pull the axle. Yeah, we definitely need 2 people for this operation. All right. So I landed the forks onto the sheet metal here, which is not going to damage them. But now it takes 2 people to get it lifted up onto the center lift. You want to do the back? Yeah, this thing's not going to be light. All right, you ready? 1, 2, 3, up. All right, yeah, we're on the frame. Let's bring it on up, set the front of it up to get the front wheel on. All right, we're good. There's the axle. So it appears that the fender on these is mounted to the forks themselves rather than the triple tree. So because this has both a high and a low fender. So looking at that, I'm going to say we're probably going to put the fender on after we put the front wheel on. So this will slip on like so, looks like. Yeah, like this. I like to wait on this. Reason being, sometimes when putting the wheel on, I may have to flip this back and forth to put in a spacer or whatnot. So I'd like to wait on that. So on this particular style. All right, so we have the axle, the spacer, and then here we have the speedometer gear, which is an electronic gear. Always like to make sure that there's plenty of grease in here. It looks like that both the gear and the seal are greased extremely well. So let's grab the front wheel. So first of all, I'm going to remove the brake pad spacer, but even with the spacer in there, the pads start coming together a little bit. They're not going to be real straight. So I'll get in there and spread them out a little bit. Get in here, just give them a little squeeze gently. If you don't do this gentle, you can damage the brake pads. And I just want to open these back up like so. So it's going to be a lot easier for me to slip the disc back in here. So now I'm rolling in the wheel and slip right in on that side. Then over here, I'm going to put the speedo gear on. Again, it has got 2 cogs on here and 2 slots. You want to make sure those line up. A lot of people just put these on here and bolt them down and will bend these in or break these. You want to set it on here and give it a little twist and make sure that it's seated down. And that is, once it slips down all the way like that, you know you're good. There's a slot right here and a knob right here. You want to make sure those 2 are lined up. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my axle and slip it through, line this up. My brake, my rotor is already inside my pads. And then you also have the spacer. The seal on this is completely dry, as well as this. That's not something you want. You can see the black marks on here for what it was assembled originally before they broke it back down for shipping, that this was completely dry. Not acceptable. I'm going to put a little grease on this. And I'll just use a little bit of wheel bearing grease like so. Now it's going to slip in here nicely. And I'm going to push the axle through the rest of the way till I can see it right there. Then line it up with the other end of the fork, like that. Tap it on through. There we go. Front wheel is on. Now, I'm not torqued down, so my speedo gear spun on me. It's a 17. 14 on one side, 17 on the other. Again, I want to make sure that this speedometer gear and the slot are lined up over here before I start torquing this down. There. Gear staying steady. Everything's moving freely. And then I pump up the front brakes. They pumped up quickly, working as it should. All right, now that that's done, we can go ahead and get the front fender put on. All right, here's the part where we're going to be guessing the hardware. All right, looks like there's going to be some fairly long bolts holding that fender on. These are the straps for all the cables. We'll do that later. A set of grommets, which should be 8 of them. Take these grommets and push them into these fenders, these fender holes. All right, I've got these here. Okay, that's 4 of them. Let's look at this hardware. We got 2 long ones, 4 shorter ones. And then these little spacers will sit right inside these grommets. And we're totally playing this by ear. We've literally never built one of these before. So properly seated. It should slip right in. Oh, this one was not properly seated. Here we go. So there's that. Now the rears, I think what we're going to do is, oh yeah, we've got these clips right here. threaded clips, and they're going to go on the back side like so. Both sides. And then there's also a guide here for the brake line. Yeah, there's only one line up here. So this is going to go on that side. So we'll slip this on here like so. Long bolt into the clip, and then shorter bolts into the brackets on the lower fork. And you always want to start these by hand, just because they're going into aluminum, and that crosses up real easy. That's spinning. That's started. And then this one's going. Yeah, don't go crazy on this. And I'm sure I'm going to get some comments about using an impact on all these bolts, but you know something? I've used this impact for many, many years. I rarely ever break a bolt anymore. Now I'm going to have these clamps here. So on this side, I've got this one. I'm going to put it on the back side like this. I think that looks the best. So bolt through, slip through, clamp, and start it. And then slip up this here. Bring this up a little higher. Yeah, that doesn't work at all. All right, looks like I got too much cover here, because this needs to slip up and slide into that. So I'm going to trim some of this away here very gently, because it is a brake line, which means I'm going to cut away from the line like so. I'll bring it up enough right about here. Slip this up, slip it in here like so. All right, and then trim off the excess. All right, that's kind of loose. I'm going to give that a clamp. A little bit of a squeeze here. There we go. All right, now it's nice and protected. Not going to run any risk of rubbing something that it shouldn't. All right, and it looks like that part's done. Now there was another clip. This right here is a speedometer. I think it's going to be the same thing. This is going to slip over your speedometer cable. It's going to slip over your speedometer cable, and I think just like the other bracket, it's going to sit behind this bolt. So we'll back this back out. There we go. Nice and square like that. There it is. Now your speedometer cable is also loomed away. All right, so I've got 4 of these left, and 4 of these, and 4 small bolts, plus 1 extra, well, 2 extra in case one gets lost. I'm thinking that's probably for this windscreen. The windscreen looks like it has 4 bolts holding it on. Always want to be very careful when you handle these because they do get scratched easily. And then it's a whole lot of time spent trying to buff them back out. Grommet, grommet. So you want to make sure the grommets have gone all the way through, like this, that are not folded up. That way these will slip right in. 4 bolts. And then we're just about through all of the hardware. Very gently. Snug these down. All right. Well, I got to say, this is probably one of the easier assemblies that we have done. Now I just got to figure out how to get to the battery. It looks like I have my positive terminal right here, negative terminal hanging off of here. So let's just assume the battery is going to be behind this cover. So let's pull it off and take a look. And that is almost just like a hawk. Clip in the back, gently pull. There's the battery. Yeah, I'm going to want to take the plastic off of that. It's a pre-activated battery. Normally I would charge these for a while to make sure, but this thing literally just came in, so it's not been sitting in a warehouse for months on end. So I think this battery is probably going to be nicely charged. I have the terminal screws on. I like to kind of set these in here beforehand. There's one. There's 2. We'll get it set in here. So I can slip it up over this. The wire's tucked in here nice and neat. So here is our starter solenoid. And this is the style with a fuse built into it as well. So it's got 1 fuse and then a spare. In case you blow one, you've got an extra, so you're less likely to get stranded. And you always hook your positive up first. That way you don't have to worry about throwing sparks when you hook your second terminal up. So positive is on. This is just not staying in place very well. I bet it goes here. Yeah, that's the correct spot, not up here. So this right here is your flasher for your turn signals, and then your port for your ECM. So we're just going to tuck that in here. Put our battery strap back on. Probably run the strap just over the wires just to hold everything in place better. See if it'll let me do it. There, nice and neat. Tucked away, tucked away. Oh, this unplugs. Oh, notice the connector, watertight connectors on this, on your main power. Oh, now that this is pulled out, now I got plenty of slack. All right, like so. I'd say that's probably the way that's supposed to go. All right, nice and tight. Cover on, cover on. Tuck this wire up and out of the way. It's hanging on a clamp right there. All right, tucked in, nice and neat. All right, was the key in here? I haven't seen a key to this. Aha! We have a key. We also have a keyhole lock. Open that up. Key in. And then all this should light up nicely. There it is. All right. All right, we're good. I would just need to get a shot of fuel in it, and she'll fire up. So let's throw the side cover back on. Little nub in the back. There, that slipped in, tucked under the seat. Front nub put in. Bolt goes back in here. All right, all that's back on. Now that was really not very hard at all. I think we're ready to get her up off of this stand and give her a splash of fuel. And light the fire. Our fancy electric gas can. Looks like our fuel gauge over here, flashing red right now for being low. Let's see what it does as it comes up. Is that an LED or does it look regular? LED. Oh, here's our gauge coming up. Quit flashing at me. Took quite a bit of fuel, so I would say it's got a good size reserve on it. There's half a tank. I'd have to check the specs on it, how much it actually holds, but looks like it takes quite a bit. Well, it's an adventure bike, so if you want to take long adventures, you need lots of fuel that we don't have to carry extra with you. And we are almost full. That's it. That was close to 3 gallons. All right. Now, being that this is a fuel-injected bike, what I like to do is I like to cycle the fuel pump 3 times to make sure that we get pressure building up, fuel pressure building up at the injector. So on, off, on, 3 seconds, off, on, 3 seconds. Make sure the kill switch is in the run position. There it is, first life. Let it find its settings for a moment. This has a center exhaust clamp on it. I just like to give these a little bit of a twist. These have a real habit of coming loose. You want to check these again after you ride it. Don't go crazy with it because you can snap them if you tighten them too much. but from the expansion and contraction of the exhaust, they do tend to work loose on anything. Okay. Checking the turn signals. Right turn, LED, left turn, brake light, brake light, brake light, horn, high beam, low. Oh yeah, some super bright lights. It's got a high beam, low beam, and then the flash to pass feature. And you can turn your lights off. Off, parking, and lights on. I don't recommend you ever ride with the lights off, but at least you've got the option. So if you got to sneak back into your parents' house at night, you can turn your lights off so they can't see you. We'll leave that on for now. All right. We're going to let this warm up a little bit. We'll drain the oil out of it, put some fresh oil in it, and then we're going to go take it for a ride. So see you next video. Be sure to like and subscribe.